Lucas, and welcome to Abstract Essay, where the essay tribe thoughts find depth and every conversation explores the art of thinking beyond the obvious. And today I have my special guest. She is a clinical psychologist and a stress reduction expert, none other than Dr. Alana Atchison.
Hi, Daniel. Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome, Dr. Alana on Abstract Essay. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I missed?
Yes. Well, again, my name is Dr. Alana Atchison. I am a board certified clinical psychologist, and I'm also an expert in stress reduction. And I put an emphasis on stress reduction because stress is inevitable. It's a part of life that we all will continue to experience, that we all experience to some degree. And
Yes.
unfortunately, it's not going anywhere. So I help people manage their stress better because when we manage it better, we can actually reduce it.
Yes, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Dr. Alana. Thank you. So today let's talk about the five pillars of stress reduction, a new approach to stress reduction.
Mhm.
Tell us. Let's start with the big premise. Your model is a five pillars of stress reduction. In a world of full of quick tips and apps, why do we need a pillared or architectural approach to something like stress?
Well, because stress is very pervasive and it's something, again, like I said, everybody experiences it and we all experience it to varying degrees. So, first off, let me explain what I'm talking about when I'm mentioning stress. So, all stress is when life demands exceed our capacity to deal with them. So, I teach at the university. So, sometimes my students say, "Hey, I got to study for this test, and this is stressful."
Hmm.
Or public speaking. So, me actually joining you here, this was a degree of stress in my life. So it's no escaping stress, but we need to be able to manage it well. And the other thing to know about stress, too, is that it has a bidirectional relationship with the mind and the body. So we experience stress in our bodies as well as in our minds. So, when we have an approach to dealing with stress, which again is inevitable, then we need to be able to rely on certain things that help move us through the stressful experience and that can help us manage stress better. So, in my work, I focus on these five areas, and I've noticed in my personal life as well as my professional life, but part of this is drawing from my personal experience that when I'm aligned in these five areas, I feel better equipped to manage stress. You want to hear what those areas are? Okay. So,
Yes, go ahead, Dr. Alana.
okay. So, the first area is our physical health. And this is important because, again, stress affects our physical health. And if we are met with a stressful situation or with a demand that feels a little too taxing, we want our body to literally be able to, uh, we want our body to be prepared to fight off the stressor. Because what happens is when we're stressed, the first place in our body that the stress likes to really attack is our immune system. So if we are in a stressful situation, the body sets off a cascade of events. And so this is our cortisol increases, our adrenaline starts pumping, our heart starts to race, et cetera, et cetera. We get ourselves ready to fight or flight. But that experience in itself, moving the body to that fight or flight domain, is stressful. So our bodies need to be able to handle the amount of physical stress that occurs when we're met with a demanding situation. So that means that our immune system has to be pretty top tier. Because also the last thing you want to deal with when you're stressed out is now it's also being sick. So we want the body to feel equipped in its physical ability to manage stress. And frankly, what that looks like is paying closer attention to our nutrition, paying closer attention to our movement, paying closer attention to our sleep. Those three things right there can help build up the immune system, which, and also it helps us feel strong and empowered and confident, which in its own way reduces stress. But certainly from an immune perspective, it gets our bodies equipped to deal with stress. So because again, stress is going to come our way. There's no way of outrunning it. We just have to be prepared when it comes. So that's physical health. And as a clinical psychologist, I'm not a medical doctor. So I kind of have a limited scope of what I can do with my clients when it comes to physical health, but I make sure that I talk about it, that I bring it up. I just had a session today with a client who was discussing how hard it was for them to get up in the morning and concentrate and such. And I asked them about their sleep. Turns out they have awful sleep. They're not sleeping well. They're tossing and turning throughout the night. That absolutely is playing a role in their brain fog and their lack of concentration. So I encourage that client to really talk to their physician about their sleep and perhaps even asking for a sleep study. So it shows up in my sessions through my knowledge and also really bringing it in because our mental health and physical health are connected. So I'll move on to the next pillar. And by the way, none of these pillars are in any sort of particular order. They're all important. So, I go through it in a certain way, but they're all really important. So, this next pillar is our spiritual health. And now, when I say spiritual health, some folks think about religion, some people might think about church or some sort of religious practice. It doesn't necessarily involve that, although it could. But when I talk about spirit, I'm talking about your connection with yourself, your connection with even the universe, maybe nature, but certainly your deepest connection with yourself, how you know yourself, what you know about yourself. And that self knowledge can absolutely play a role in reducing stress. Number one, when we deeply know ourselves, we know what we value, we know what's important to us. And that knowledge helps us make decisions because sometimes we're stressed out because we have too many decisions to make or we're not sure how to make a decision. But the more you know yourself, the easier certain decisions become. So I help clients align themselves with themselves. I ask them, and we do an exercise sometimes where I teach them to learn more about their values, learn more about the things that are important to them, that are most important to them, so that they can steer their lives and make decisions from a value system, so that when stress comes your way, you have a pretty clear understanding of who you are. And so certain things can be a little easier. The third pillar, again, in no particular order, is our creative health. Now, all of us are an artist. Every single person on this earth is an artist. Art is in everything. Even this conversation, how this conversation is set up, how, the podcast is designed, how we use our words, that's all art. Why is art important with stress? Because stress is energy. Stress is a lot of negative energy too. Now, not all the time though. Sometimes stress is positive. When you think about a stressful event of getting ready for something exciting, but nonetheless, it's a lot of energy. And we have to be able to release that energy. because if we hold on to that energy, it stays in our body and it kind of just loops. It keeps us in a little bit of a fight or flight state. It keeps us a little bit pent up, a little bit on edge. So we have to find a healthy way to release it. And, you know, releasing art, if we know anything about art, we know that it's not good or bad. And so sometimes we have to release what we might think about as bad energy in a contained and healthy way. And that is a good stress relief. So, an example of that, this year I went through a really terrible breakup. And I was really, grieving the loss. So something that I did is I kind of channeled that negative energy. I was angry, I was sad, I was disappointed. I kind of created this persona and I started just writing. And while it was part journal, part of it was creative writing where I just let it all out. I said all the mean things that I would never say to this person. And after giving it some thought, I probably didn't even really mean. But in that moment, it was real and I had to get it out. It had to live somewhere. And that really helped me cope through a stressful situation of dealing with grief and loss. So, and then also I create art that I would share with the public. Maybe not, or maybe I caught it kind of like my burn book of when I just cursed out my ex in that form of writing. Um, Put it as an art project. Maybe 10 years from now, I would show kind of this is what pure emotion looks like. But I digress. I also got more into expressing art um, in a more kind of painting, abstract type of way. So, creative health is so important because we need that release. The fourth of the fifth pillar is cognitive health. We absolutely need to get better with our brains. Our brains are craving. It's craving to be used for what it can be used for. And the beautiful thing that human beings have is this thing in the front of our brain called the prefrontal cortex, and that's the part of our brain that governs thought, it governs decision making, it governs logic, it governs our executive functioning, which is really our ability to make decisions. So when we're stressed out or when stress comes our way, we have to be efficient in decision making. Well, how do you become efficient with decision making? You have to do a few things. Number one, you have to slow things down. You have to think things through. You have to process. You have to do a lot of reflection. So that connects to the spiritual pillar, that reflection. But you have to exercise your brain. It also connects to creativity because problem solving is a creative act. So I talk to my clients about maximizing their brain power. We absolutely need to turn off the phones, get off social media as much as we do, and start thinking for ourselves because that serves as well when stress comes our way. We need to be able to think our way through it. Now, the final, which is the fifth pillar. Now, remember, I said that these weren't in any particular order, but I did purposely leave this pillar at the last one, kind of ironically, because as a clinical psychologist, I know all about emotions. This fifth pillar is emotional health. But I'm reluctant to put that first. Why? I think that lots of people pay a lot of attention to their emotions, almost too much, that we neglect those other four areas. So I almost want us to put our emotions in the back seat and focus more on our cognitive health or spiritual health, because those things can actually help us with our emotional health without even ever dealing with our emotions directly. But when we do deal with our emotions, I want people to do two things: understand their emotions and regulate them. That our emotions give us data. So when stress comes our way, we first appraise it and we say, okay, is this thing worth being stressed about? Uh, and if it is, then we usually react to it. But we want to understand what our emotions are that's under that reaction. Is this stressful event making us feel disappointed? Is it making us feel sad? Is it energizing us actually? Is it making us angry? What is it that are what emotions are we feeling? Because that then can help us with our decision making. That then can help us decide what we need to do as far as our resources to help deal with this stressor. So if a stressful situation occurs and I feel defeated, I feel like I'm not going to be able to do this, then I need to use that feeling of defeat and say, okay, well, what is it that I need in order to not feel defeated? Maybe I need to connect with my support system. Maybe I need to learn a skill or do something. Maybe I need to actually rest more. Whatever it is, using that feeling of defeat to help guide my decision making. And the other part of our emotional health is regulating our emotions. When stress comes, sometimes the first thing we want to do is react to it. Oh my God, this is terrible. I don't know. That's going to exacerbate stress. So we don't want to we want to manage our emotions, our reactions to things, because when we experience that type of control, when we have a clear head, our emotions kind of cloud our head sometimes. So we want to make sure that things are clear for us. When that happens, we can better approach stress and we can think from a clearer perspective. So each of these pillars is meant to equip us. We want to equip our mind and our body to deal with stress because stress is inevitable. It's going to happen. But when it happens, how equipped are you to deal with it? And also, by paying attention to each of these pillars, you actually reduce your stress too. It's a strange thing that happens because when you're focused on your pillars, you are more tuned with your decision making. Because the thing is, sometimes we put ourselves in stressful situations, and part of that is because maybe we reacted to our emotions, went on a wild shopping spree, and now we're dealing with the financial aftermath. Well, if we're in check with our emotions in the first place, then we won't go on this wild shopping spree. Maybe we'll go on a mini shopping spree, and it won't put so much strain on our finances. So it both helps reduce stress, but it also helps prevent it.
How is your approach fundamentally different from just telling someone to meditate more or get better sleep? What does pillar structure add, Miss or Dr. Alana?
Can you say the second part of your question? You said, what does the pillar?
Yes, what does the pillar structure add?
So the good thing about the pillars is that they're practical. So when we tell someone to oh, just meditate more or get more sleep, most people know that. Their problem isn't knowing it, it's actually doing it. And it's also so I talk about very practical approaches to with each pillar, and it's rooted in science, so evidence-based practice. So, for instance, there's evidence that supports that when a body is under prolonged stress, that various systems, including our immune system, start to shut down, and um, the depletion adds more stress to the body, essentially. There's evidence that talks about how regulating our emotions helps keep us calm and clear headed. So I actually give folks practical tools that is rooted in evidence and also anecdotal. I mean, I like examples and stories and a personal touch. So lots of stuff that I talk about, if not everything, I practice it. Earlier, Daniel, I mentioned that I'm no longer on social media, and that was intentional because I know that, and I may add on to the pillars, but I know how much how stressful being on social media can be, especially if you're engaging or interacting with it. So I want to practice, this stress reduction life by trying new things and doing things that I can teach from my experience as well as my professional knowledge.
Dr. Alana, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my Abstract Essay is already in fifth season, Abstract Poetry in second season, and my Book 101 Review in its sixth season next year. Comedy 101 in its third season, and Food 101 in its fifth season as well. Geography 101 Love Letters, Movie 101 Review, Music 101 our fourth season, Science 101, Sex 101 a second season, and my baby podcast, Mental Health 101, Law 101, Bible Verses 101, Entrepreneurship 101, and of course, Motivation 101. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Dr. Alana, if someone truly integrated these five pillars into their life, what becomes possible for them beyond just feeling less stress, and what kind of person do they become?
Well, they become a calmer person. They become a person that's level headed and reflective. They become a person that's intentional and clear about what they want. They become a person who steers their life in the direction that they want their life to go. They become an active participant in their life. They become someone who gets exactly what they need and want. They become someone who feels empowered, someone who feels positive and able. They're capable. They feel more confident in their ability to manage life. And if everybody felt that way, think about how life would be if everyone felt capable and good and confident. I think we would heal the world. I don't know. Maybe I'm biased, but
Let's heal the world, Dr. Alana, through your
let's do it.
advocacy. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you
Thank you for having me.
please invite our listeners to support your business, your advocacy, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Uh, well, people can book me. They can reach out for individual therapy, for coaching, or for a stress concierge service where I work with busy people who need tools immediately to reduce their stress. And they can find it on my website, alanaatchisonpsyd.com.
Yes. So, Dr. Alana, can you expound the phrase on your website? Find calm, find clarity, find yourself.
Find calm because we need to be calm. We need to be gentle. Find clarity because we need to know exactly who we are, what we're doing, where we're going. Find yourself because you are in the center of all of this. You are the center of your life and you need to know who you are.
Yes, people less about Dr. Alana Atchison, because if you support her, for sure, more and more empowering coaching will rise. So, one more, Dr. Alana,
Yeah.
looking at our stress inducing culture. If you could have society focus on strengthening just one of these pillars on a collective level, which would it be and why?
Okay. It would have to be spiritual. And why? Because that captures everything. When we're connected to our innermost being, all these other pillars become intuitive. When we're connected with ourselves, we know how good it feels when we eat well and when we move our bodies. We know how to express ourselves when we're connected to ourselves. We know how to think. We start taking the material that's enriching to us, that's enriching to our brain, to our minds, and we start to live a slower life because we know the benefits of that, because a slow life helps us connect to ourselves. And we also learn how to keep our emotions in check because when we're connected spiritually, we understand that our emotions are part of who we are and they're not meant to really. A lot of people are afraid of their emotions, but if you're connected to your spiritual self, you learn to embrace your emotions and not let them control you or react by them. So, if I had to rank them, I would put spirituality first. That is the source. And spirituality is whatever it means to you. For me, it's the deepest connection to yourself.
The biggest connection. Dr. Alana, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Monica people, see you soon.